In 12 hours, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris will face off in their highly anticipated presidential debate. Ahead of the debate, many experts and leaders are calling it a make-or-break moment for Harris, as the vice president takes on a seasoned presidential debater and a showman in Trump. As Kamala Harris becomes the second woman presidential nominee to debate Trump, former Democrat presidential nominee Hillary Clinton has a few words of advice for the 59-year-old. In an interview, Clinton suggested that Harris go on the offensive to hit out directly at her political rival's weaknesses. Clinton said, quote, "She just should not be baited. She should bait him. He can be rattled. He does not know how to respond to substantive direct attacks." The incumbent vice president is not getting advice only from the blue team, but also from her rival camp. Former New Jersey governor and Republican candidate Chris Christie also has some insight for Harris, and it can be summed up in two words: charm and disarm. Christie played a critical role in helping Trump prepare for his presidential debate back in 2016 and 2020 as well, before becoming a critic of the former president. Christie says that Harris needs to do only two things. First, Harris should look into the camera during the debate and charm the Americans by showing them that there is another way to lead. He also advised Harris to not engage with Trump's attacks. Christie explained, quote, "Harris's refusal to engage with Trump back and forth will get under his skin." But this will not only be the first time that Kamala Harris is up for a crucial debate, but also you may remember back in 2020, the vice president took the podium as Biden's running mate against Trump's number two, Mike Pence. Here's a snippet from the VP debate from 4 years ago.
Let's talk about packing the court then. Let's talk about the fact. Yeah, I'm about to. So the Trump-Pence administration has been, because I sit on the Senate Judiciary Committee, Susan, as you mentioned, and I've witnessed the appointments for lifetime appointments to the federal courts, district courts, courts of appeal. People who are purely ideological.
This presumption that you hear consistently from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris that America is systemically racist, and that, as Joe Biden said, that he believes that law enforcement has an implicit bias against minorities, is a great insult to the men and women who serve in law enforcement.
For more on this, we are now being joined by Chuck Douglas, political commentator and radio show host from Ohio. Welcome to We On, Chuck, and great to talk to you. How decisive is this debate going to be, given that it's probably the only debate we're going to see between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump before the November 5th elections?
You used the word pivotal earlier, and I think that's a very appropriate word. This is either candidate can make or break themselves in this one debate tonight. And the advice from Hillary Clinton to attempt to rattle Donald Trump, I would not follow that if I were the vice president, simply because I believe that is what Mr. Trump is ready for. He is coming into this prepared for exactly that. And if you have noticed, he has been relatively silent the last couple of weeks. I believe, quite frankly, he's practicing.
And, President Biden has now been replaced by Vice President Kamala Harris since that last debate. Do you think that this will be easier for the former president or more difficult? I know that the president's critics were saying that he has a problem debating women. I don't know if that was the case when he was debating Hillary Clinton, considering the fact that he won the elections. I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
Again, another strategic error that I think is coming from the Democrat camp. The idea that Donald Trump has a problem debating women should be just eliminated by the way he handled Hillary Clinton. He debated her like an opponent. He debated her like an adversary. He didn't take her gender into account. Lock her up being chanted from the crowd wasn't because she was wearing a dress. It had nothing to do with gender. He went after the opponent. And if you go out there using gender as your guideline of how you will approach him or allow yourself to be approached, you're making a mistake.
And Harris is the vice president, of course. She's an incumbent. She says that she's running on the platform of change. Being a vice president, is this to her advantage or disadvantage, in your opinion?
I think it is very much to her disadvantage simply because she's had 3.5, almost 4 years to create change. And she has a track record of absolutely nothing. When she was tasked with handling things at our southern border, she couldn't even answer the question, when are you going to the border? Only we have been to the border. Well, have you been to the border? Well, I haven't been to, what was it, Europe? What kind of flippant answer is that in a situation that we have with migration in this country right now, illegal and otherwise? We have a number of people coming in here. And to give such a flippant answer on such a serious issue when you are the second person in charge in that White House is, I think it's insulting to the American people.
And finally, Chuck, much has been made about the performance and the theatrics of tonight's debate, which everyone will be watching, the mannerism, no doubt. Do you think Americans will also be looking for policy as well? Do we know where these candidates stand on policy? And are you expecting any surprises whatsoever?
That is exactly why I frankly will not be watching. I will be listening on the radio. I don't want to look at facial expressions. I don't want to see how one person may physically react to the other person. I want to hear the words. I want to hear the substance. I'll go back and watch the debate for entertainment purposes afterward. But initially, I will be listening. The words are important. And in the last election that Donald Trump came before us, it was questioned, does he have a magic wand? And I think he answered that rather well. We had 4 years of Donald Trump. We had 4 years with Kamala Harris as vice president. And I think the questions about what they bring to the table have been answered. It just depends on whether the American people have memories long enough to do something about that in November.
All right. Well, we'll be watching and listening very closely, of course. Chuck Douglas, thank you so much for joining us on WION. I look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.